It sits behind my woodshed out past where the grass goes long, and it is the ugliest thing on my whole property. Dark plastic, half full of rainwater, gone the color of weak coffee, a fistful of grass, and a couple of fallen leaves rotting on top of it. My wife asked me once why I don't move it somewhere I can't see it from the kitchen window. I told her that bucket is the reason she can sit on our porch at supper time in the middle of July and not slap her own arm raw. That bucket and the spoonful of something that costs about $17 pulls in every mosquito looking to lay her eggs for 100 yards in any direction. And every egg she lays in it dies before it ever grows a wing. It does not harm one bee, not one butterfly, not the dog who drinks from it when she thinks I'm not looking, not the hens, not the songbirds, not a single child who might wander past it. It kills one thing and one thing only. I will tell you exactly what it is, exactly where to put it, and exactly what it costs before we're done here. But I need you to stay with me because the bucket is the easy part. The part most folks have backwards is something else entirely, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. My name is Silas Hollar. I keep 11 hives of honeybees. My wife works close to half an acre of flowers and herbs for the pollinators. And on a good morning, that patch hums loud enough you can hear it from the road. And in 9 years, sitting at my own table on my own porch through 9 full summers, I have not been bitten. Not once that I can recall. No electric zapper buzzing all night. No truck pulling up the lane to fog the yard with a wand. No company on a monthly contract. Now, I am not telling you that to crow. I'm telling you because I want you to understand that what I'm about to lay out actually works. And it has worked for a long time, longer than I've been alive. None of it's clever. None of it's new. It is mostly a way of looking at the problem that we have as a people very nearly forgotten. So here's the thing that most everyone gets wrong, and it is the whole game. You think the mosquitoes come from somewhere else, from the woods at the edge of your field, from the creek down the hill, from the neighbor's place on the evening wind. So you wait until dusk when they come for you and you swat at the air and you spray something on your skin and you call it a fair fight. It is not a fair fight, and the reason it isn't is that you're meeting the enemy at the very last second of her life, when she already has wings and she's already coming for your blood. The mosquito biting your arm tonight was not born in the woods. She was born in your yard, in standing water, water you walk past every single day and never think about, a cap full of it in the fold of a tarp, a clogged gutter holding a finger's depth of rain, a saucer under a flower pot, the dish under the dog's water bowl, an old tire out back, a wheelbarrow left tipped the wrong way, a child's sandbox toy, a bird bath nobody's touched in a week. A female mosquito does not need a pond. She needs a puddle the size of your 2 hands cupped together, and into that puddle she will lay her eggs, and a single one of them can hold a great many of them. Water that sits still for more than about 4 days is not a puddle anymore. It is a nursery. It is a mosquito hatchery running quietly in your yard while you sleep, and you are feeding it every time it rains. My grandfather understood this when I was a boy, though I don't think he could have told you the science of it. Every Saturday morning, early, before the heat came up, he'd walk the whole place with an empty coffee can in his hand, and anywhere water had gathered and gone still over the week, he'd tip it out. The saucers, the low spot by the barn, the lid of the rain barrel, he called it walking the line. I thought it was just an old man's habit, the way some men whittle or wind a watch. I know now it was the smartest thing he did all week, and it didn't cost him a cent, because here's the difference. And I want you to hold on to it through everything else I tell you. Most folks want to kill the mosquito after she's already in the air and headed for their face. We kill her in the water before she ever grows a wing. We meet her at the beginning, not the end. That's the whole idea. Everything else, the bucket, the spoonful, the oils, the little smoking can my grandmother used to set out on the porch rail at dusk, all of it grows out of that one understanding. Standing water is the problem. Get the water, or poison the water so gently that it harms nothing but what's growing in it, and the mosquito's whole life falls apart before it begins. I'll tell you what goes in the bucket and why a dark bucket and not a white one, and what that $17 spoonful actually is, because the name of it matters, and the truth of how it works is a good deep deal more interesting than you'd guess. I'll tell you how a man with bees and a yard full of flowers keeps the one pest out while keeping every helper in. But first this week, before you do anything else, find a coffee can, walk your line, tip out every still bit of water you own. That's free, and that's where it starts. Wait for your okay. But I'll take that continue as the go-ahead. Here's part 2. About 1,000 words, the 3-part system, what BTI actually is, and how to cover the whole property. So you've walked your line, you've tipped out the water. Now we build the thing that does the work while you sleep. We start with the bucket, and I want to be honest with you about what the bucket is. It is a fake, a counterfeit. You are going to build the most attractive piece of real estate on your whole property from a mosquito's point of view, and then you're going to make sure that nothing born there ever lives. We are building a swamp that is also a graveyard. You need 3 things. First, a dark bucket, 5 gallons. Orange, red, brown, black, anything but white. This matters more than you'd think. A female looking to lay her eggs is hunting for dark, shaded, still water, because that is the kind of water her kind has bred in for longer than there have been people to bother. A white bucket says nothing to her. A dark one says home. Second, more, a couple of good handfuls of grass and leaves. As they break down, they give off the smell of rotting plant matter, the same smell that rises off a real pond, and that smell is a dinner bell. Third, the spoonful, the $17 spoonful. It's sold as mosquito bits, and you'll find it at near any hardware or farm store over in the garden section. Set the bucket somewhere out of the way, and here's the part folks get backwards. Set it far from where you actually sit and eat. You are not decorating your patio. You are leading the enemy away from your camp. Fill it about halfway with water, rainwater if you got it. Throw in your grass and a stick or 2 so the water goes cloudy and swampish. Then sprinkle 1 spoonful of the bits across the top. Don't stir it. Don't measure it careful. 1 spoon and walk away. Now let me tell you what that spoonful is, because the truth of it is the whole reason I trust it around my bees and my dog and my grandchildren. It is a bacterium, a living thing out of the soil with a long name, Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, BTI for short. It was found back in 1977 in a stagnant pond out in a desert. It is not a chemical in the way you're picturing. It is not a nerve poison sprayed over everything. Here's how it works, and it is a marvel. A mosquito, in her water-living stage, that little wriggling thing that lives in the puddle for about a week before it grows wings, eats. It filters the water and eats what's in it. It eats a particle of BTI. And inside that one particular kind of gut, the BTI does its work, and the creature is gone inside a day. And here's the piece I need you to hear. It works on almost nothing else. It is keyed to the gut of mosquito larvae, and a few close cousins, the gnats and the midges. And that is the end of the list. It does not harm a honeybee. It does not harm a butterfly or a dragonfly. And the dragonfly is your friend because she eats mosquitoes by the 100. It does not harm fish, frogs, birds, your dog, or you. The reason is plain chemistry. The larva's gut is built one particular way, very alkaline, and the BTI only switches on in that exact setting. The bee's gut is different. Yours is different. So while I would not tell you to go drinking out of that bucket, that's just sense. The science behind it is as solid as any you'll find. Germany has used this stuff since the early 80s. States here at home spray it over marshland from the air. It has been one of the safest tools we have for 40 years. Now, 1 bucket behind 1 shed's not enough. You want 3 at the least, spread to the corners of your place, always away from where you sit and where the children play. Where you can't tuck a bucket out of sight, take the lid, screw 4 short pegs into it for feet, and set it on top, peg side up. Rain won't water down your BTI, but a mosquito can still slip underneath to lay. $3 a pegs, 5 minutes with a hand drill, for the spots a bucket won't reach. The ditch along the road, the low place in the field that holds water after a rain, the old trough by the barn. There's the same medicine in a different shape. A brown ring they call a mosquito dunk. Toss one in, it covers around 100 square feet and lasts about a month. And then there's the one nearly everybody misses. Your gutters. If you've got leaves and needles up in your gutters, they hold water, and that long, shallow run of standing water along your roof line may well be the single biggest hatchery on your whole property. A spoonful of bits dropped right up in the gutter every couple of weeks shuts it down. You don't know it's working up there. The mosquitoes surely do. One spoonful kills everything in a bucket for 2 to 4 weeks, and then you add a little more. That is the entire maintenance schedule. A man could do it half asleep. That handles the water, the eggs, the wrigglers, the whole young generation before it ever flies. But there's a second piece, because the grown mosquitoes that hatched last week before you got started, they're still out there, still hunting blood to lay one last batch of eggs. And they will still come for you on the porch. For them, we don't reach for poison either. We reach for something my grandmother would have recognized, and I'll tell you what it is, and the one mistake everyone makes, spraying it, in the next part. So, the water's handled. The eggs, the wrigglers, the whole young crop dies before it flies. But the grown mosquitoes that hatched last week before you ever got started, they're still out there, still hunting for blood to lay one last batch, and they will still find your porch. For them, we reach for something my grandmother would have known by smell. Cedar, rosemary, clove, garlic, lemongrass, mint, plain plant oils, the concentrated kind. The same sorts of things people have used to turn insects away for thousands of years. Not perfume. The real strong extracts. Now, the little jar that screws onto your garden hose works poorly. It sprays too fine and runs out too fast. What you want is a hand pump sprayer, the kind you pump up with a few strokes. Runs around $40 and lasts you the rest of your life. Fill the tank about 3/4 with water. Shake your oil hard first because oil settles and separates. Then pour in what the label tells you, usually a few ounces to the gallon. The water will go cloudy like skim milk. That's right. Here's the part everyone gets wrong, and it's the whole trick. Do not spray the open air. The oils flash off in minutes, and you've wasted them on the breeze. You spray the undersides of leaves, the bushes, the hedge, the porch eaves, the wood lattice, the backside of the wood pile, the shady hidden places where grown mosquitoes tuck themselves through the heat of the day, waiting on evening. You hit them where they hide, and you knock down the daytime crowd in one go. One thing, do not spray your flowers while they're in bloom. The oil won't kill a bee, but it'll turn her away from the blossom. And turning the bees off your flowers is the very opposite of what we're after. A whole yard takes me maybe 45 minutes. Lasts 2-3 weeks. After a hard storm, do it again. Now let me tell you about 2 old things, because they round out the picture even if neither one will solve your problem alone. The first is a martin house, the purple martin up on a tall pole. And I'll be straight with you because plenty won't. The story that one martin eats 2,000 mosquitoes a day is not true. Folks looked at what's actually in their stomachs, and it's mostly beetles and dragonflies and moths taken up high in the daytime. And the mosquitoes come out at dusk after the martins have gone to roost. So no, the martins will not clear your yard, but they eat the big insects that'd otherwise be at your garden. They're a pretty sight. They sing in the morning, and children love tending them. And a yard full of martins and dragonflies and bats and frogs is a yard where the mosquito has a hard time getting a foothold. The whole living place starts working on your side. If you want one, put the pole up high 15 feet and keep it 60 feet clear of trees and buildings. The second is what my grandmother did at dusk when the family sat out on the porch. An old coffee tin, holes punched in it with a nail, a handful of dried herbs from her garden, rosemary, sage, dried lavender, a sprig of wormwood in a bad year, and a bit of charcoal in the bottom. She'd light it and let the herbs smolder. The smoke didn't smell like chemicals. It smelled like a kitchen at Christmas, and it held the mosquitoes off the porch out past the circle of it. You can do the very same thing tonight. A ceramic saucer, a charcoal disc, Handful of dried rosemary or sage, the smoke is gentle and won't trouble the bees. They're shut up in the hive for the night already. Now the bigger picture, because this matters more than a comfortable porch. Mosquitoes kill more people in a year than any other creature on this earth. Not snakes, not sharks, not wolves or bears. They carry West Nile, which is in every state now. They carry diseases that are rare but terrible. Worldwide, they carry malaria, which still takes more than 500,000 lives a year, most of them children. So I don't want you to think this is just about an itchy bump. It's serious. But the way the country's been taught to handle it, call a company, sign a contract, let a man come once a month and fog everything in sight with something that kills near every insect it touches. That is not the only way, and I don't believe it's the best one. Our honeybees are in trouble. 20 years of decline, hives dying off. And part of the reason is that the same kinds of chemicals sprayed at mosquitoes on suburban lawns also kill the bees that pollinate the food growing on those same lawns. You cannot kill the pest without killing the helper if you're using the wrong tool. T. That doesn't kill bees. The oils don't. Tipping out water doesn't kill a thing but mosquitoes. The whole of it, the buckets, the dunks, the oils, the smoke can, walking your line, costs less than 1 month of professional spraying. You set it up over a weekend and it works for years. None of this came from being clever. It came from people who, when they couldn't just call a company and pay, had to find out what actually worked. And what they found over generations is that the mosquito problem is a water problem, and a water problem can be solved with $17 and an hour of paying attention. So here's your weekend. Walk your line with a can and tip out every still drop. That's free. That's step one. Set 3 dark buckets in your far corners. Water, handful of grass, 1 spoonful of bits in each. Drop a dunk in the rain barrel in any low spot that holds water. If you can, get the pump sprayer and a bottle of oil and hit the undersides of the bushes in the back of the woodpile. About $60 the first time, less than $30 a season after. And by next Saturday evening, a cool porch, no mosquitoes coming for you, the bees still working the flowers, and the dog drinking from whatever puddle she pleases. Stay calm, pay attention, and remember, the folks who built this country with their own 2 hands knew things we're only just starting to remember.